I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to take a little time to learn about Missoula local elections. To that end, ThomasMFrance is in the MCAT studio. ThomasMFrance is a representative of House District 94 and running through redistricting for House District 99. Tom, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks, Joel. It's a pleasure to be here on a beautiful, beautiful September afternoon.
It's really beautiful. And the fires have cleared, the smoke has cleared, and we're back in the paradise we deserve here in Missoula. And would you describe for the viewership this new House District 99, what area you are running to represent?
Old House District 94 and new House District 99 are basically North Missoula County,
Okay.
North of the interstate, running up to the county line. So Grant Creek, part of the Rattlesnake, Evero Hill. I swoop down and catch a little bit of some of the housing development south of the interstate.
Wow.
North Missoula County from east to west, really.
Yeah. And here are the questions. So I had sent the same questions to anyone that would come, and you could take a moment if you want to silence your phone. I can edit that part out,
Good.
and I'll put myself back in.
I'm going to mute. I thought I was muted, so I don't know. There we go.
Okay. So then to make the break, I'll just say, I guess I have to be over here. It would be cleaner.
Okay.
So, dear viewer, I've asked the same question of all the candidates that have agreed to come to MCAP for interviews. And the questions are pretty soft. They're just really an attempt to give candidates an opportunity to explain their goals, ambitions, and perspectives to you. So, the first question, what inspired you to run for this office? And you're an incumbent, so you've been inspired for some time.
Yes, Joel, this will be my third term. I ran first in 2020 and was elected and again in 2022. So this term, and then if I choose to, I could serve one more term before I term out. And I've always been a civic-minded person. I've worked in the nonprofit world. I've been on a lot of Missoula boards and Western boards of conservation groups and other nonprofits that are trying to add to the social good in one way or another. And as a Democrat, I feel like making government work better for Montana citizens is one of my goals in life. And so as I neared retirement from the National Wildlife Federation, I thought running for the legislature would be a good next step in my career path.
I gotcha. So this question is, describe how you see Missoula County. And I'm attempting to represent the northern part of Missoula County. What do you like about Missoula County? And of course, the flip side of the question is, what would you seek to improve?
Well, I moved to Montana in the early 1970s, more or less as a laborer, went to school here over many years, graduated in 1981 with a degree in law from the University of Montana Law School. Yeah. And Missoula is a great place. It's a wonderful small city with a great deal of diversity, many, many energetic citizens pursuing all manner of endeavors, from building small businesses and medium businesses, or Dennis Washington, a multinational conglomerate, to artists and poets and writers. So it's just been a wonderful place culturally, I think, for the kind of small town values that I wanted. And then, of course, it's situated in the heart of the Northern Rockies with the great outdoors literally outside anybody's door in Missoula. And that's always been important for me, too. So the best of Missoula continues to be those sort of cultural mores that really bring a vitality and energy to Western Montana. I think the worst of Missoula is that we're a bit of a victim of our own success, if you will. Our reputation as a progressive, forward-thinking community situated in a wonderful location has really brought a great deal of growth in the last decade. And I think every Missoulian feels a little bit challenged by how we're handling that growth. And for some of our residents that are paying more than they want for rent, are unable to build a house or buy a house, it's really a challenging environment right now. And those are some of the issues that the legislature is trying to wrestle with.
And that is on a statewide basis, right? Like minimum home lots and parking requirements or other elements they see as being an impediment to housing development?
Well, the legislature since 2020 and kind of the COVID boom and the housing crisis deepening has pursued two paths. One has been to reduce the amount of regulation in terms of zoning and planning, and thereby make it easier to build homes and rental units, trying to impose or impose a uniform set of land use requirements for builders across the state.
Yeah.
The other way we have addressed housing issues is through a series of loan programs, primarily directed at affordable housing. We're giving developers that build affordable housing credits, tax credits, which are valuable to many in the construction industry. And I don't think we've budgeted enough money for that given the scale of the housing issue in Montana, but I've really been a strong supporter of both not loosening some of the regulations, but also providing the funding and capital that builders need to enter the affordable market. Joel, I think in America, we will build ourselves out of the housing shortfall for higher income people. I mean,
Going to happen, right?
The market will respond. And,
Yeah.
and for builders and developers, that's the high end, high profit place they want to be building. But for more affordable housing, and that's really now housing for the middle class,
Yeah.
it has to be a partnership between state, local government, some of our nonprofits like Homeward, and builders. So that's one of the things as a legislator I've been pushing for and voting for.
Gotcha. And this you already know, question 3, because it says, if you were elected to a seat in the Montana House, what would you like most about this job?
That's
Well, because you'd been there, I thought maybe something would come to mind.
Well, everyone who's watching this knows that for the most of the last decade, it's been pretty tough being a Democrat in the Montana legislature. Especially since 2020 when we lost seats and
the governor.
Kind of at low ebb, and then we lost the governor's office in 2020 as well.
Yeah.
So it's a hard job.
Yeah.
And when I say I've worked hard on bills, I haven't. I've helped with some of the bills that have been bipartisan and been an active player in that, but much of the legislation has really been dictated by the Republican majority, and Democrats have been advancing other and we think better ideas, but not having as much success as we would like when the votes get counted.
But bless your soul. So it really suggests you have a strong faith in human nature, because you're up there, outnumbered as it were. But then your presence is going to temper some things or bring a perspective. There's a lot of optimism, anyway.
Well, optimism. Stubbornness, a lack of reality. But, our democracy only works when there is an opposition.
Yeah.
And we only move forward as a country when there's a real mix of ideas and a debate about the best way forward and an ability for government to shift gears when a way forward isn't working for the people, for the voters. And so, the duty of the opposition to some degree is to oppose, and in so doing advance ideas that may not be in the majority today, but may be tomorrow. And I think in the case of democratic values and democratic policies, eventually they will come back to ascendancy in Montana.
I bet you learned a lot, but that is question 4. What have you learned about Missoula and Montana while campaigning for your several offices?
Well, like most people, I have a good circle of friends. For the most part, they are Democrats here in Missoula, and they're people I enjoy, and they enjoy my friendship with them. But I joke with them that I know more Republicans than almost anybody
Yeah,
I know.
probably.
And, that's, I mean, it's true of the legislature that you come to know someone in every county in Montana.
Yeah.
You come to be friends with people on both sides of the aisle, not with everyone on the
No.
other side of the aisle. There's some pretty tough operators there that I'll debate with and vote against, but don't really want to pursue much of a relationship. But there are
Yeah.
many fine individuals on both sides of the aisle. So that's one of the things I enjoy most about the legislature is the diversity of it all and the exchange of ideas and really developing a regard and friendship with people of both parties. And that's, as I say, fairly unique for
Yeah,
my
it
circle
is.
of friends. And
It's like being in a special spaceship. And also,
it feels that way when you descend into Helena in January and don't come out until May.
yeah. And it's such a large state with so few people. So if you know someone in Custer County, or you know someone in Big Timber, or whatever it is, I think that's a very privileged,
Yeah,
place to
lucky
be.
that way.
Your second to last question is the only structured one, because then you have closing thoughts. Describe some of Missoula's strengths and weaknesses.
Well, there is certainly in the legislature and across the state perception that Missoula are a bunch of liberals. That,
Yeah. There's the bumper sticker, I love Missoula. It's only 30 minutes from Montana.
Yeah, and we, at some level, fight that perception in the legislature, trying to strengthen local government, trying to strengthen our policies towards the everyday Montanans, most of whom now live in cities like Missoula and Bozeman and Billings. I tell my Republican colleagues that, we talk about our economy in Montana and how important it is. Well, the economy is booming in Missoula. The economy is booming in Bozeman, and the legislature and state policy really needs to recognize that our forward-thinking cities have attracted a great deal of entrepreneurial growth because of the blend of positive government services and programs, nonprofit efforts aided by government to protect land and to build a recreational economy that is tremendously attractive and unique. And as Montana moves forward, I think it's critical for state policy that we perceive our urban centers as our incubators for economic growth and really seek to strengthen our cities that are leading the way in providing jobs today and will provide the jobs in 10 and 20 years. I say this is really the first time in Montana's history where if you graduate with almost any degree that the University of Montana or MSU offers, you can find a job in Montana. You don't have to go to Seattle or Denver.
That was the old migratory pattern, wasn't it?
And now that graduate, that 22-year-old can find exactly the job they want, and it's an upwardly mobile job. Of course, the irony and the bitter irony is they may not be able to afford housing here.
Yeah.
And so how do we keep that economic situation moving forward, and at the same time provide a livable environment for the other hours of your day when you're not working, and when you're trying to raise a family and lead a productive, happy life.
Well, you get up to closing thoughts.
Well, I'm running it as a Democrat for a reason. I really think Montana is being sold short by the Republican legislature, the House and the Senate, and by the governor and the other statewide electeds. I wrote a letter last week to Attorney General Knudsen demanding he step up and respond to a report that showed real morale problems in Montana's highway patrol.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Highway patrolmen are leaving because of the leadership he's providing. Governor Gianforte has overseen a shift in state services, bringing in out-of-state contractors in the name of efficiency, but many of these companies that are now handling health and human services concerns have no stake in Montana. They're only in it for the money, and when the contract runs out, they're going to be gone. So I feel that this administration is on a terribly wrong track in terms of how government should be serving Montana. It's hostile to our state employees. It's hostile to really a long tradition of good government service in Montana. And that's not to say that as a Democrat, I don't want to make sure every tax dollar is spent well or that state government isn't lean and efficient. But I think we need to recognize that state programs like Medicaid, state programs for the mentally ill, state programs for housing for both lower income and now middle income people are incredibly important to Montanans and to the way we live in Montana. And those are the values and the policies that I'll be pursuing if I'm reelected.
Tom France, thank you so much. Once again, we've been visiting with Tom France, who's a candidate, incumbent of House District 94, candidate for House District 99. So I want to thank you, dear viewer, for taking the time to learn about these local elections, which are, in many senses, some of the most important elections you can be involved in. And to that end, I would like to remind the viewers of some critical dates in the registration process. So one is October 7th. And October 7th is your last chance to make sure that you're eligible to vote and that you can correct any changes through the mail or the phone. And another date to look out for is October 12th. By October 12th, according to Bradley Seaman, who's the election administrator for Missoula County, you should have a ballot in your mail if you chose the mail-in ballot. 85% of Missoulians used a mail-in ballot. Last year, 15% of you went to the polls, of those who voted. So if you do not see a ballot and you wanted one, contact the election office. And the easiest way to do this is to go to my voter page, which I have on the screen for you right there. There you can make sure that you're not inactive because you didn't vote in the last presidential election. You can make sure that your address is correct and so on. So I want to thank Tom France again for taking the time, and I want to thank you for taking the time to learn about important local elections. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching.